Let me share with you 5 reasons why I think Belhaven College is affordable for students. First of all, we work very hard to keep our costs low. When you evaluate our costs of private higher education compared to the rest of the country, we are significantly lower. We've been named one of America's best buy colleges and universities for a number of years. Students come from across the country, especially East Coast and West Coast, find our prices extremely inexpensive. Of course, the housing is less here than what they're finding there, and that's why we can be less and still keep the quality high. But even in Mississippi, our costs are very reasonable, and we work hard to make that possible. We put our money into the student experience and try to cut costs in other ways that don't impact what happens in students' lives. Second reason we're affordable is that most of our students get some kind of financial aid. I think it's important for students to understand how college financing works. There's a sticker price that you see when you look on a website, but then there's an actual price that people pay. And most students receive some level of financial aid for academic strength, for athletics, for the arts, for other special interests. Some bring scholarships with them from Rotary clubs, other kinds of venues. And when you look at that and then look at the difference between what the real cost is and the subsidized help, what you're actually going to pay is the cost people need to focus on. Some students tell me sometimes, well, I got a bigger scholarship at a different school. And I'll say, yeah, but did you look at the price gap of the cost of that school? That school is a lot higher, so that's why they could give you a bigger scholarship. And so our scholarships may be a little bit lower, but that gap tends to be very narrow compared to other private higher education options. And so I think we work very hard to make it affordable. If a student's willing to work and willing to put effort into coming, I think we'll find a way to make it possible for them to come. We can't give it away. I don't think that's good stewardship to give it away. Students need to invest in their education, but at the same time, we'll do all we can to make sure money doesn't keep a student from coming to Belhaven who God wants to be here. I think the third reason that we are very affordable is that you can complete on time. Right now, when you go to a state university, it's 5 to 5.5 years to complete. And so you need to compare 4 years of Belhaven's cost versus 5 years of a state university cost. And when you do that, those prices become almost equal. And the reason is the state universities, as they're cutting back courses, as their budgets are trimmed, they can't offer the courses for students to get in, and so they're having to take longer to graduate. So when you think of not only spending for college for 5 or 5.5 years, but then you also think of losing a year or year and a half of earning income, that cost for Belhaven becomes very affordable. The fourth reason that we can be affordable is students can work to contain other costs. I find that students don't get in trouble for college costs as much as they do for running up credit card bills, for buying cars they can't afford on time. Those kinds of costs get very expensive. And so we want to help students to be good stewards of their money. And in doing so, college can become very affordable as long as you don't let these other costs get out of control. One area where college costs are kind of hidden is in the area of books. It's not unusual for a student to pay $600, $700, $800, even $1,000 for a semester's worth of books at many institutions. We're working very hard to keep those costs low for students, and so we are customizing books to make the cost lower. We're negotiating with publishers to demand lower costs. We're recycling books so that students can get used books and find ways to keep those costs lower, because a lot of times students will come and they don't expect to get that big bill for books, and then they're surprised when that comes, and we have purposefully made an effort. And that can save maybe a couple of $1,000s over a college career, which adds up. I think the last thing that's most important is that we're really talking about value, not cost. It's not just how much it costs, it's what are you getting for that cost. And to me, college is going to be for a student about the cost of a good car. That's about the difference you're probably going to wind up paying. And the question is, how much value are you getting for that? A car, no matter how well you take care of it, might last you 10 years, but the investment you're making in your mind, you're going to have for the next 50, 60 years, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And the investment you make in that mind and learning how to think and how to see the world, and how to understand God's best for your life is well worth the extra expense now. Some students are afraid to take loans because of that. They say, well, I don't want to pay back loans. But the government subsidized loans are a great way for students because that is investing in an appreciating asset. We borrow money for things that get greater in value, and your mind gets greater in value, your life gets greater in value when you invest in it in a quality education at Belhaven, and so that makes it well worth the cost. I think we are affordable for students who want to come, want to be part of this experience and find God's best for them here, and we'll find a way to make that happen.